So describe the creation of the Panama Canal. Why was creating this travel route so significant? Who tried to create the canal before the U.S.? Detail the hardships of creating this travel route. I'm recording, Cassidy. So now I called you out online here. Everybody's going to see it, even LeBron James. I get an average about 15, 20 views on it. Not bad. Hey, come on now. Don't say that. Like and subscribe.
I watched everything with videos from that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice.
I like the great.
I'm being serious when I say I actually did watch the video.
I did watch the video.
All right, Sarah.
I just didn't do the work for the video. I'm watching the book this week.
Panama Canal.
Right.
You didn't do the work.
No, the Southern War. No.
Yeah, I know.
I made it up though.
Yeah,
The day before it was not pretty stupid.
need a lot more work for me.
You're welcome. It makes sure you know how to use camera.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe not grading things a month later. I want back on that one here. I don't know if it's gonna last forever. Stuff
I've been
like
doing my
that.
work.
Okay.
If we're in school, I will do it. If we're at home,
Yeah. McDonald's on the mind.
I worked last night.
I
At
know.
home.
You're a hard worker. I'll give you that.
I guess at home.
School? Oh, yeah. I'm just kidding. No, when you're here, you do a good job. You do a good job.
When I'm in school, I do.
Participate in class. Yeah.
What was the mountain they did?
There's an oil spill in California. Turn it back. Skunk loose in school. High school forced to evacuate.
That would be funny.
I just asked you a question about this.
What up?
What's the mountain thing?
The Continental Divide.
I saw on the news this morning too that they opened the borders of Canada and Mexico.
Really?
Like you can try, if you're vaccinated, that would be a great current.
Oh, yeah. What was that look for? You should have saw the look you just got, Miss O'Neill.
She's not vaccinated. A skunk thing you said? That's what you said that happened.
No, it was in school.
What about the budget? Doesn't the budget need passed?
Yeah, you can talk about that.
Talk about what?
The debate of the reconciliation bill, $3.5 trillion. What else is in the news here? There's a lot of stuff, really.
The vaccine mandate, man, I think people that,
That's what I said about Southwest Airlines.
yeah,
You know what I read on the news every day? It's just about different murders. That's all I get. Like I don't see it.
I didn't see any.
Stay away from your end of the road.
I love it.
No,
Well,
Well, like learning about murder is kind of interesting.
I don't want to read anything about the vaccine.
You better watch
It's
it, video, folks.
interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
Murders are interesting.
Oh, can we do it on murder? Oh my god.
What?
I did.
Going out to Lincoln Road, I used to run all the time.
Uh-huh.
And do you know how many raccoons I can scare by? Oh, the other day we passed a coyote. It like ran through.
Yes,
like-
there's a pattern in my
Because the
house.
one time my
There's like three of
sister
them.
walked up the road and it was on top of a baby like fawn. And then my sister like started like stomping it, scared it. Yeah, it was on the
Holy.
fawn. It was so fun.
Oh,
Like,
he
they
killed
killed
it
it
at
at
our
our
house.
house.
It just like threw them and yelled.
Jeez. All right. Okay, enough about the deer on Mountain Road and raccoons.
I was riding my bike again.
Describe the creation of the Panama Canal. So who tried to build this canal in the early to mid 1800s? Who tried to? It's a European country. Griffin, go ahead. Yeah, France. Good job. And why do they want to build this canal? What was the point of trying to build this canal for the French? Griffin, you know? What was going on in the West? San Francisco,
Oh, yeah. gold.
49. Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. Good job. The gold rush. Yeah, so they wanted to try to have an easier way of transporting these materials like gold to, well, early back to Europe or back to the East Coast of the United States. Really, the only form of transportation they had, wagon ride across the whole country. We all know the Rocky Mountains. We all know the different difficult forms of terrain in the United States. It was really difficult to travel by land. So a lot of these people that were trying to travel these different forms of resources like gold thought, well, we'll just take the ships all the way around South America and bring it back to the United States on the East Coast. Again, very hard, okay, very time expensive. So they decided, well, we'll just go down to the shortest section in Central America, which is the Panama Canal, okay, where the Panama Canal is located. So at first they didn't start to dig it up. They didn't start to make a canal. They decided to just build a railroad that stretched across that connected the Pacific to the Atlantic. And that worked out okay, but still time expensive. How come? What did they have to do? Randy, what did they have to do? You don't know? So if they're bringing all the gold from the Pacific West Coast down to this location, and they got to unpack it, right? They got to take it all off the ship, pack it onto the train, okay? And then they travel all the way across right to the Atlantic Ocean, and then they have to do what to the ship? Pack it all back on, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources to do so. So rather than just trying to rely on the train, the railroad across this short stretch, they thought, well, let's just try to build a canal. Let's just try to connect the bodies of water together so then that we don't have to unpack it. And we can try to eliminate some of the time expense to it. So France decided to try to drill out a lot of this earth. And it was really hard to do, especially in the mid 1800s. A lot of these new forms of technology, yeah, they're great, they're beneficial, but not for this type of terrain. This tropical climate, tropical weather, there's a lot of mudslides, landslides. How many people died? You guys remember from the video? Huh? Yeah, around 22,000. 22,000 men died in this environment. Why? Because of mudslides, landslides, different types of insects, diseases spreading. Okay, it was really hard to obviously preserve food. Okay, we talked about some of the difficulties of the Spanish-American War in these tropical climates. Same thing with creating this Panama Canal for the French. And it cost them what? How much did it cost France to try to build this canal? Angel, you remember? You're not on your phone, are you?
Taking notes.
Are you? Okay, good, good. Hey, you forgot your iPad, so make sure you bring your iPad next time. Okay. So what do we have? How much? How long did it take? Or how much? How much money? Anybody remember? No? Are you kidding me? 250 million. 250 million. Yeah. So an average today would probably be around $5 billion to build. And they tried to drill through this earth, and it didn't work out too well. And we'll talk about it at the start of next chapter. France was going through a war with, at the time, the origins of Germany. Okay. And they were defeated pretty heavily. So they just quit. They just let it go. So when Teddy Roosevelt comes in charge, what does he do? Try to pick up where France left off. And he want to try to build a canal to spur nationalism in the United States. Okay. And really signify the United States as this world power in the Western Hemisphere. So if he can control trade through the Western Hemisphere, that's going to show a form of his policy, a form of his diplomacy. And what was Teddy Roosevelt's diplomacy? What was that called? What was that called? Cassidy? Big stick diplomacy. Good job. Good job. So speak softly, carry a big stick, meaning we have the military power. And if we try to advance as this world power, control trade through the Western Hemisphere, that's going to propel us even more at the global stage. Okay. And let's face it, let's say a European country wants to utilize this trade route, which at the time is a lot of easier travel for these European countries to the Asian markets. So if they want to travel, they got to stop first at Puerto Rico. This travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean takes a long time. So they got to restock, refuel. Who controls Puerto Rico at that time? Griffin? Yeah, the United States. Good. So they probably have to pay the US to stop there, restock, refuel. Traveling through the Panama Canal, we all know the United States controls that. So they have to pay the United States to use that travel route. So again, traveling all the way across the Pacific, they probably land here in Hawaii. Who controls that? The US. Okay, so restock, refuel there. And again, costing some money. The rest of the trip across the Pacific, Guam, United States controls it. All right, Wake Island, United States controls it. The Philippines, who controls that? The United States. So who's profiting off of everybody utilizing this travel route? The US, right? We can see the moneymaker. Okay, we can see how this is going to profit the US moving forward into the 20th century. And the US really rises out of that global power because of this trade route alone. And we all know the Panama Canal is essential for traveling, let's say, our Navy, our military from one end, okay, of the United States to the other. So if there's ever an attack, let's say on the West Coast, we can bring our Atlantic fleet over, no problem. A quick amount of time efficient. So when building the canal, again, it wasn't easy. There's around 5,000 US citizens that died trying to create this canal. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday. A lot of the workers actually building this canal were Caribbean migrant workers. So individuals from Cuba, from Puerto Rico. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but that age of imperialism, social Darwinism, right? And just the idea of utilizing these people in these territories that we conquered, that we imperialized, it is what it is, right? It's unfortunate to talk about, but that's what we used for most of the manpower. And when they died, it is what it is, right? At that time, we just kind of turned the cheek. The next one fill in. It's like I said, unfortunate, but it's how the canal was created. And we talked a little bit about how we got the rights to build a canal. Colombia controlled it. We decided to aid the Panamanian rebels to control that area, to control that land. Panama was created, and we built the canal. So with a short, what is it, $40 million at that time, not a lot of money really, if you think about it, to build this canal, we controlled trade through the Western Hemisphere. And this is further elevating that idea of big stick diplomacy. Whoever's going to try to travel through the Western Hemisphere has to go through the United States first, all right? And this is how Teddy Roosevelt's going to really push the US as this world power. All right, is there any questions on the Panama Canal? You see its significance? You see how this is elevating the US even more at the global stage? Yeah, okay, good. All righty, so terms for today. I know I said we're ending yesterday with terms, but I want to make sure you have these presidents down. I don't think we had these presidents as termed yet, but I want to make sure you have them. I know we mentioned them quite a bit already. And the next two, we didn't talk really about at all, but we'll talk about them more next chapter. So William McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt. There you go. We already know Teddy Roosevelt pretty well. McKinley, we know, started the Spanish American War. All right, William McKinley, what do we got? What do we have here? Griffin, go ahead.
Serving until 1897 assassination.
You got it? Okay, I didn't know. I thought you were going to get it. Okay, good job. So McKinley, president during the Spanish-American War, that's what he's famous for, and expanding the United States sphere of influence. Okay, imperialistic view. All right, we talked about the Spanish-American War already, the causes to it, okay, which was the USS Maine, and what territories we acquired, and how we followed that Monroe Doctrine, finally pushing the last European power out of the Western Hemisphere. So William McKinley, when you look at him as a president, he was successful, right? He advanced the United States imperialistic view, which was criticized by a lot of people, but at the same time, it was much needed, especially when we're looking at the United States rising as a world power. He was assassinated, which results in Teddy Roosevelt becoming president, right after. Okay, so William McKinley, one of 4 U.S. presidents assassinated. Anybody know the 3 other? Abraham Lincoln, Griffin, Garfield, good, and JFK.
Oh, JFK.
Did you say FDR?
Well, actually,
Oh man, JFK. Okay, all right. William McKinley, good. Teddy Roosevelt, we talked about him already. Progressive president. Okay, we talked about his president with the square deal. 3 C's, remember them? 3 C's. No, you remember 3 C's? What's one of them? Conservation, good job. So protecting the United States natural beauty. Okay, he put out a lot of land, preserved it. Okay, creation of national parks, state parks, good. Cassidy, control corporations, good job, making sure monopolies don't become too large, good. And the last one, you go to the grocery store, you go to McDonald's, you want to make sure you're what? Protected, right? Consumer protection. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. There you go. Food and Drug Administration, creation of that, FDA, right? Okay. 3 C square deal. And we already talked about Teddy Roosevelt's imperialistic efforts with big stick diplomacy. Okay, we talked about Panama Canal and the Great White Fleet, right? Awesome. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit about these presidents. So we can go over 2 today and then 2 tomorrow. Like I said, that's going to finish things up for this chapter. So we're going to expect the test probably next week. So presidents of the early 20th century. So if you want to label them, I know on Canvas I have imperialistic, progressive presidents. That's what we are. That's what we're moving into. So William McKinley, like mentioned in vocab, 25th president of the United States, is nicknamed the Idol of Ohio. Why? Because he's from Ohio. He was a lawyer, and he was also a Republican Party candidate, Republican president. William McKinley. So write down some of that few information. You might see his nickname on the test. For these presidents, there are nicknames you might see on the exam. So McKinley, very successful, and he was actually the last president to serve in the Civil War. Wow, crazy. We know that he is known for being president, expanding the United States sphere of influence by grasping these territories after that Spanish-American War. Criticized by many because of these imperialistic efforts, which I have an assignment for you afterwards. Only 4 questions. Oh, Barbara, I'm sorry. You're the president, though. You can handle it. All right. Okay. So William McKinley, 25th president, Isle of Ohio, lawyer. And like I mentioned, he was the last president to serve in the Civil War. Interesting facts. You guys good with that? No? Okay, one more minute. Like I mentioned with vocab, he would be assassinated. Okay. The name, a little difficult to pronounce. Okay, so when we get to the next slide, I'll let you write it down. Many people believe He was assassinated because of his imperialistic viewpoints and efforts to try to expand the United States, and how this was maybe mistreating a lot of indigenous people in these territories. Good now? All right, cool. So like I mentioned, hopefully it doesn't crash. Oh, there you go. I thought it was crashing. Thought it was. I guess that'll be on the next slide. Sorry about that. But here's his political career. Member of the House of Representatives, governor of Ohio. What's that? Yeah, this is still William McKinley. And we'll talk about William Jennings Bryan here soon in the 1920s. We'll talk about famous court case that he was involved with. And he defeated William Jennings Bryan twice for president. So shortly into his second term, he was assassinated, which pushed Teddy Roosevelt as president. But with William Jennings Bryan, we'll talk about him more in the 1920s. Anybody know what famous court case he was involved in? It was about the evolutionary theory being taught in public schools. Anybody? No, do you know it? No. Teachings of evolution. It conflicted against religious values at that time. A lot of people, it was this big divide in the United States, fundamentalism versus modernism. We'll talk about in the 1920s, but anybody know the court case? Anybody? Famous one. The Scopes monkey trial, no? Never heard of it? Oh my gosh. All right, okay. But like I mentioned, Teddy Roosevelt will be his vice president for his beginning of the second term, and he will take office when he's assassinated, when McKinley dies. But as you see, he has a strong political career, served in the Civil War, so he was pretty popular amongst the people. All right, so last slide of William McKinley. First president to receive over 7 million popular votes. At that time, that was a lot. At that time, that was a lot. Anybody know how many President Biden received this last election? 80 million. Yep. And Trump received 75 million. So it goes to show how many more people voting, right? And more people there are in the United States now than compared to that. So at this time, third president to be assassinated. Fourth would be JFK. We'll get to that towards the end of the year. And there's the assassinator, Leon Schloss. I guess that's how you pronounce it. That's the best way to pronounce it. And like I mentioned, a lot of people believe that Leon, we'll just leave it at that. Leon was a little upset with the advancement of the United States, taking over territories in the Pacific and advancing in the Caribbean Sea, past their own borders, mistreatment of indigenous people, you name it. And a lot of people believe that's why he assassinated William McKinley. And like I already said, last president served in the Civil War and known for territorial expansion during the Spanish-American War. You guys remember the territories we acquired? What were they? Barbara, do you know one of them? Guam, good. Cassie, you know another one? The Philippines, good. Matt, do you know another one? Puerto Rico, good job. Yeah, good. Wake Island, another one you could say. Awesome. William McKinley. All right, you guys good with that? No? Maybe I'll save the assignment for you guys tomorrow. I don't want to give you homework. I'm being nice.
Wow.
Oh.
What is
Oh, man.
Hopefully the
Nope, got
girls
one
up front can spot the bird.
Yeah, how about it? When I'm going for a run or a bike ride. Yeah, you guys down here. Feed me to the raccoons on the road, huh? All right, William McKinley, we good with him? Main thing to remember from him, obviously, the expansion of the territories we acquired after the Spanish-American War, following Monroe Doctrine, pushing the last European country out of the Western Hemisphere by the turn of the 1900s. Teddy Roosevelt, we talked about him quite a bit already. And he'll take office when McKinley is assassinated. He'll become 26th president of the United States. Also, Republican Party member. And we know he's a famous progressive president through the square deal, right? We talked about the square deal, the 3 C's. Nicknames, Teddy, right? Talk about the teddy bear here soon. A lot of it, the teddy bear is created because of his conservation techniques and his ideas, his progressive movements with protecting the environment. So that's why they named the teddy bear after him. Interesting fact about Teddy Roosevelt, he's big into wrestling. So he'd often have wrestling matches in the White House, in the Oval Office, which I thought was pretty funny. He used to lay his smackdown on some diplomats, right?
I think we should have that club,
Oh, yeah,
the fight club.
right here in the room.
Controversy, come in, duke it out, and then it's over.
Yeah, get some gloves on, headsets. Let's get after it. Huh? Or those big cushion, what are they like? The Q-tips. All right, Teddy Roosevelt. So I thought that was interesting. Open wrestling matches in the Oval Office. And I used to have boxing matches too. And he actually was blind for a short period of time out of his one eye, taking a right cross. Thought that was funny. Yeah, avid outdoorsman. You know, he loves the outdoors, conservation. Here's his political career. We talked about his time Secretary of the Navy during the Spanish-American War. He gives up that job to volunteer in the Spanish-American War as a Rough Rider. We know he's vice president under McKinley. Once he was assassinated, he would become president. So he had a strong political background. And that will carry over with his relative when we get to World War II. We'll talk about him more, Franklin Roosevelt, with the success, the popularity of Teddy Roosevelt that carries on in the family to Franklin Roosevelt. And I don't know if we'll get through it all, but 2 more minutes. So we might have to finish this up tomorrow to start a class, and we'll move on and talk about the other 2 progressive imperialistic presidents. So with Teddy Roosevelt, start off Republican, and then he tried to run for president again in 1912. Okay, moving up closer to World War I. And this time, actually, he ran as a third party president. Does anybody know the name of his third party? Maybe a bonus question here. Don't look it up. Anybody know the third party? Famous and almost won. Actually, almost won. It split the Republican vote, though, which allowed for a Democratic president to win the election in 1912. No, the Bull Moose Party.
Is it often referred to?
Yeah, it was a form of progressive party, but the Bull Moose Party was what I was looking for. Why? Because it's strong as a bull moose. Right? Remember wrestling in the Oval Office. All right, so continue on here. So, like I said, in 1912, that would be the famous election where a third party almost won, but he just fell short. Why? Because it split the Republican vote. Because Taft, who we'll talk about next, the next president after Roosevelt, he would win or sorry, he would lose the election to Woodrow Wilson for the 1912 election. And a lot of people say this was a friendship that was lost, unfortunately. Roosevelt thought Taft wasn't doing a good enough job moving the country forward with progressive movements and imperialistic ideas. So he ran against Taft, but this time as a third party bull moose, and split the Republican vote, which allowed for a Democratic president to win. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, though. All right, any questions on that? I have one more slide about Roosevelt. We'll save it tomorrow. And no assignment for today, no homework. So goody, awesome. We will have that as a classwork assignment tomorrow. All right, that's it. Yay. Now you can start studying, right?